All right, great. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Fred Wilson. I'll be the hearings officer for today's public hearing. This is the time set aside for the public hearing in the Bridges RV storage case. The file number is 20-030. Today is going to be an opportunity for people to present testimony, to submit or discuss evidence, and to make legal arguments. I don't make a final decision today. There'll be a later written decision after the record's been closed. There are a few things I have to talk about before every public hearing under state statute and county code. I need to disclose whether I've had any ex parte contacts. That's any discussions about the merits of the case before today. And I pretty much haven't. We had a brief discussion about procedural stuff, but that didn't have anything to do with the merits of the case. I need to disclose whether I'm biased, whether I'm for or against the application for any reason other than the merits of the case. And I'm not. I don't have a reason to feel one way or the other. I'm not familiar with the parties or the property. Finally, I need to disclose whether I have any conflicts of interest. I don't. In private practice and live in West Salem. I don't have any clients in Marion County, let alone anywhere near the subject property. I don't own property in Marion County or have a close family that has property in Marion County. If you haven't been to one of these hearings before, the way it'll work is we will start with the staff report. After the staff report, the applicant will have an opportunity to make their case. After that, anybody who's in favor of the application who wants to testify can testify. After that, if there's anybody who's neutral or just has questions, they can testify. Staff's usually pretty helpful about answering questions. And then we'll have an opportunity for anybody who's opposed to the application to testify. Then we'll have a chance for staff to respond to any issues that come up. And finally, the applicant will have an opportunity for final rebuttal since they have the burden of proof. If you do testify, please make sure to give us your name and address and spell your last name. Also, I'm trying to speak into the microphones. They don't pick up really well, so if you do testify, please try to talk into the microphones as well as you can. Please direct your testimony to the approval criteria. They are primarily those listed in Marion County Code, Chapter 1613 for the urban transition zone, 1640 for conditional uses, and we also have 16.27.210 for special street setbacks. When you do testify, make sure you raise any and all issues you have. If you don't raise those issues, you may be precluded from raising them in their future if there are any further proceedings or appeals of this case. Also for the applicant, as I'm sure you're aware, make sure you raise any and all issues regarding conditions of approval. You think there may be unconstitutional takings or any other problems. If you don't raise those issues, you may be precluded from raising those in the future. That's obviously a little superfluous since that's pretty much exactly why we're here, but I do need to get that on the record. If you testify, please try to be cordial and polite and stick to the issues. I don't know how contested this one will be, but I'd appreciate it if everybody is polite and sticks to the issues and doesn't make any personal attacks. If you haven't turned off your cell phone, this would be a good time to do it. And I think with that, we can turn to the staff report.
All right, so this is case CU 20-030, Bridges RV. So this is a conditional use to operate an RV and mini storage facility at 4750 Hazel Green Road, Northeast Salem. So the staff report does consist of the director level decision approving the application. At hand is an appeal of conditions. And while it is an appeal of the conditions, it is a de novo hearing. So we do have to address all of the decision criteria all over again. So ultimately, staff supports approval of the conditional use permit and is willing to answer any questions, but our findings are attached in the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Since this is an appeal, as you said, it's a de novo hearing, so we sort of go through the normal process, but since there's really only the issues identified by the applicant, I think we'll just let them go now, and if anything comes up, we can ask you about that afterwards.
All right,
so
sounds
thank
good.
you. All right, so this is the opportunity for the applicant to present their case.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hearings Officer. My name is Zach Pells. I'm a land use planner with AKS Engineering and Forestry. We are representing the applicant in this matter. The applicant is Bridges RV and Storage.
Okay, and I need to swear you in too. We got your name and your last name. So do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this proceeding will be true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. So just a quick background on kind of the history of this decision. Applicant submitted the application for conditional use as outlined in the record on August 11th. that was approved by county staff on September 15th with two conditions, 2A and 2B, which are the subject of our appeal. Applicant submitted their notice of appeal to the county on September 18th and submitted supplemental testimony on October 28th. Real quickly, the basis for the appeal is that those conditions 2A and 2B essentially constitute an unconstitutional taking of both private property and money where there is not sufficient nexus or proportionality on the county's behalf to request those conditions. So we agree with the staff decision minus those two conditions of approval. We were approached by county staff just last Friday, October 30th, with an offer to reconsider their decision and essentially replace conditions of approval 2A and 2B with a new condition of approval, with a single condition of approval for a fee in lieu of $15,000 that the county could use towards a future street improvement on Hazel Green Road. Applicant consulted with their representatives and has decided that they are agreeable to that revised condition of approval. I believe staff is prepared to submit to you a memo that details what that condition looks like. So we'll allow staff, transportation staff, to come up and describe that in more detail. But like I said, we are agreeable to those revisions to the conditions of approval. We understand that county staff has discussed with county legal counsel the ability that this decision or this matter could be referred back to county staff for a reconsideration rather than a decision being made by you. And I think the benefit that we see there is that would just kind of expedite the decision process for us. So without getting into all the details of our application, I think that's essentially what we'd like to say at this point, and we're happy to answer any additional questions.
Okay. Well, it sounds like things have been worked out between you and the county, so I don't think I have any questions for you at this point. We'll see what comes up in the rest of the hearing. So thank you. And we had a couple of your folks potentially available by phone. Do you need to have them testify? Or?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. I take it there's nobody else from your team that you have testifying?
No.
Okay.
No further.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. And then obviously you'll have a chance for final rebuttal to discuss anything that might come up. Did you want to testify, Ms. Foster? Or?
No, I don't need to testify.
Okay.
Everything that we need to present is in there. I just wanted theoretically touching base with what Ms. Shrams talked about the appeal being out of all. We want to, for those purposes, now I'm thinking if we're testifying and this reconsideration is being submitted, then we would want approval as is with those additional conditions today without formal remand. Right?
Well, I mean, I guess we have to kind of figure out what the mechanics of that look like.
Yeah.
And what, right. We like I mentioned, we understood that remanding it to staff for a decision would be significantly quicker than if we were to wait for a decision from the hearings officer and that appeal period. So that was why we sort of like that option, but if that's not an option, we'll.
Well, I think the issue is I didn't know that they would be here today with it can we supplant the original approval with those conditions? Maybe Mr. Rasmussen should be the one to talk on that, actually.
Right. So it sounds like you've got a document that has the new condition of approval that you guys could submit.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to wait till the end to rebuttal, sort of see what comes up, we can maybe
Let's do
discuss about the best way to proceed.
Let's do that.
Okay. But let's make sure we get that submitted, the document you have. Okay.
Okay.
He says wait till the end, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Sure. Yeah, that's an option.
Okay. Well, with that, then, let's see. Is there anybody here who wants to testify in favor of the decision? Do we have anybody who is maybe neutral or just has general questions or concerns that they'd like to bring up? Sir? Okay. Well, why don't we're going to have you come on up If you're going to testify, we'd have to have you come up to the microphones. Yep, this is your chance. Do you have something to submit, or?
No.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm sorry, those microphones right there, right where the applicant and Ms. Foster were, I'm sorry. Thanks.
Not familiar with court procedure.
That's okay. And so if you'd start out by just giving us your name and address and spell your last name, that would be helpful.
Okay. My name is Ross Norton. That's N like in Nancy, Norton.
Okay,
My address is 4803 Hazel Green Road Northeast. I'm about a block and a half east of where the real estate sign is posted on the opposite side of the road, and directly across from the orange fencing that they're building a lake across the street from my house. I'm here because I'm concerned about the increased traffic on Hazel Green Road.
oh, Mr. Norton, I'm sorry, before you go any further, I need to swear you in.
Oh.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this proceeding will be true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, now I'm here because I'm concerned about the increased traffic on Hazel Green Road, and I haven't heard anything yet about, they'll probably be expanding Hazel Green Road from Portland Road out to Easy Orchards, at least making it a 3-lane road or maybe a 4-lane road at some point in the future, which would take care of traffic. But the traffic right now is going through there is 50 and 60 miles an hour, usually during business hours, but it's there's traffic through there 24/7 too. So I don't know if any studies have been done as far as intersection studies or stoplight studies that we could take note of and control traffic. I'm the only landowner out there that has expanded across the ditch, and I have I have the county's approval and the city's approval for that drainage ditch that I filled in, and I use it because my property is real narrow. I think it's about 90 feet across the front. When you pull out there, you can't see very far east, which you need to do because the road dips down about 500 feet, and then it zips back up. And there is trees planted along the side, so you can't see too far east. You can see quite a ways west. But whenever you pull out onto that road, you need to be square with the street and look in both directions. Otherwise, you're liable to get hit. So that's my concerns. I hope the people will take that into consideration when they consider adding more traffic to this area.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Norton. Is there anybody else who'd like to testify in opposition to the application? Okay. Well, now is the opportunity for staff to respond to any issues that have come up.
John Rasmussen, Land Development, County Land Development.
Oh, and do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this proceeding will be true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the applicant's estimated traffic generation for the RV storage is about 30 trips a day. Now, the majority of the new traffic on the road is attributable to the North Star development, obviously. And they have been required to do certain road improvements on both Kale, which they've already done actually, and also on Hazel Green at the intersection with Portland Road. So that's That's in general terms. So more specifically to the development, one of our requirements, it's in the original memo that hearings officer has, and is also carried forward in the revised memorandum, which I'm holding in my hand, is that for the new commercial access on Hazel Green, that they are required to demonstrate they have adequate intersection site distance. So that would go to Mr. Norton's concern.
And this is the one y'all were just talking about that you're going to submit to me?
Yes,
Okay.
if necessary.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we definitely want to get that submitted. Does somebody have just want to make sure I get a copy before we close the hearing, so.
Yes, I'm going to give you
Okay.
that copy before I leave, or before we end the hearing.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Yes.
And so it sounds like the fee in lieu is acceptable to the county as opposed to conditions 2A and 2B?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Thank you, and thank you for explaining for Mr. Norton's benefit how the application meets the transportation requirements for this application itself. Appreciate that. Okay, just want to make sure that's everything from you, Mr. Rasmussen, Ms. Shrem, nothing else that you wanted to add? Okay, great. Ms. Foster, this is your opportunity for rebuttal or sort of discuss how we go forward with this as well.
So we agree that that's appropriate with the revised memo. The approval, the conditions A and B in the original one replaced with the revised.
Okay. Well, it sounds like really the only outstanding issues are Mr. Norton's concern about traffic, and I think that's probably been addressed by Mr. Rasmussen also in the application itself. Just for your benefit, Mr. Norton, the requirements under the code for what they have to do for traffic is, I think, is pretty clearly satisfied here. So I understand your concern about, I think there's a new development coming in that really is going to have a lot of traffic, and as Mr. Rasmussen talked about, there will be requirements that those folks have to do. But this proposed development, it would either add about the same as one more house, about 10 trips a day, or I think the applicants even provided evidence saying that it might actually reduce the trips based on their study of other RV places, storage places that they own. So this proposed development probably is going to have a negligible, if any, effect upon traffic on the road. So I think your concerns would be, which are very valid concerns, but I think they'll probably be addressed by this. So what we've got left is the conditions of approval. I'm amenable to whatever works best for the applicant on this, but I think the way I usually do things is instead of remanding something back to the planning division, I could just issue a decision that substitutes the fee in lieu for the proposed conditions of approval. Mr. Rasmussen?
Yes, after you're done, I would just like to add a couple points, just for the record, kind of housekeeping items.
Sure.
Unless you want me to speak now.
Why don't you go ahead and add them now?
Okay, so I didn't know exactly where we were headed at the end with this, that you're going to issue a decision, which is fine. But I wanted to, just for the record, clear up that the applicant did submit some traffic information, and they documented 2 residences being on the property. And just so we don't get anything mixed up, the second residence on the property, the back residence, which is the south residence, was placed there in 1996 as a medical hardship. And then it was decommissioned in 2015 under a permit, which was completed. So currently, there's only 1 residence on the property. The second structure remains as personal storage.
Okay. So this would actually increase it between 10 to 20 trips a day?
Right. It's
Okay.
negligible, but I just thought it should be clear for the record.
No, thank you for clearing that up, because, yeah, I wasn't aware of that, so thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, so turning back to how to resolve this, it sounds like you're just more worried about getting a decision as quickly as possible, whichever way.
You're right, that's exactly right.
So, assuming that we submit this agreement that y'all have, no one's requested to leave the record open, so we close the record. I can have my draft decision to the county, probably by, if not this week, early next week. Sometimes it takes them a while to sort of process it, but just sort of out of my hands. But seems like that might be the quickest way for you, but it's your application, so I will defer to what your wishes are on it.
Nope, that seems reasonable to us.
I think that's a good approach.
Okay. Okay, well, with that, well, actually, let me get that somebody submit a copy of that before I close the record.
Okay.
Thank you. And so this will be submitted as Exhibit 1. And with that, we can close the public hearing, so that means no more public testimony, and we will also close the record with that, and then I'll get that decision out as quickly as I can. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
For everything going so smoothly. I was expecting a much longer hearing. That's great.